So this next topic, which I'm going to talk about for about half an hour, is about how to see the Guru as Buddha. So in my case, I have a number of gurus. I think maybe 9 at the moment, although several who passed away. And in my morning practice every day, I really practice to see each one of them as Buddha. Now, they don't all look like Buddha to me. They look like ordinary humans. And they say things sometimes which I don't agree with. And sometimes they say things very different from each other. So if they're all Buddha, shouldn't they all be the same? Shouldn't they all have light shining out of them and all that? No. Each one has something very precious to teach me. So my question is, what are they trying to teach me when they say this? And in what way is that helping to lead me to enlightenment? Because this is the main purpose of the Guru. Earlier Shan said the main purpose of the Guru is to lead all sentient beings to enlightenment, which is true. But we're talking about the relationship with me, this person here. And we think the main purpose of the Guru is to lead me to enlightenment. So some of you have been at teachings with His Holiness Dalai Lama, and there are thousands of other people there. But sometimes you feel that he's saying something just to you. It's quite an extraordinary experience, because you maybe came there with some questions, and suddenly he's answering your question, and you feel, he must know what's in my mind. It's very strange. But then you find out everybody is having similar experience, but for them it's different questions. They don't even hear your question. So these kind of things happen. And it's because that relationship is very personal. And we must take it in that way, and that way we can really benefit. Now, in terms of how to see the Guru as Buddha, I'm going to rely on this book by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, which is an amazing book. And he has a whole section, How to See the Guru as Buddha. And he gives 4 reasons, or four ways. I'll tell you what the 4 are, and then I will say a little bit about each one. The first one is, there is nothing to trust in our own view. That means that we are completely deceived. We are completely mistaken about almost everything. And when we realize that, then we come to the conclusion, well, how do I know that this person is not a Buddha? Actually, we can say that about anybody. If I look at any of you, how do I know that you're not a Buddha? I can't say. I don't know. Because I can't see your mind. I'll go into this one in more detail, but just to introduce them, the second one is, even nowadays, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for sentient beings. So what this is based on is that in the times past, since time without beginning, not just on this planet, but throughout the universe and the previous universes and so forth, there were always Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. In other words, beings like ourselves who came to enlightenment. Now, when you're enlightened, you don't stop. You don't stop. You continue as an enlightened being, benefiting others continuously. So these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for sentient beings. So where are they? Okay, so that's the second reason. We'll come to that. We'll go into more detail. The third one is that the Guru is the doer, the person who does all the Buddha's actions. All the Buddha's actions. So when we study the Buddhas, like in this room there are some pictures of different Buddhas and so forth, they're very idealized, they're inspiring, but they're pictures. And although they can maybe inspire us in some way or lighten our mind, it's through the Guru that the actions of those Buddhas manifest. That's the point of the third one. And the fourth one is that Vajradhara, who is another name, which is a tantric name for Buddha, asserted that the Guru is a Buddha. So this one is based more on having confidence in what the Buddha actually said. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche puts these four reasons in this order because he says the one that is most powerful for us is the first one. There is nothing to trust in our own view. And what I did yesterday when I was rereading this section was I went through and I marked some of the most powerful arguments, and I'm going to really rely very much on this text. This is Heart of the Path.
What chapter?
Oh, sorry, what chapter is it? This is How to See the Guru as Buddha, chapter 12. And right now I'm on page 204. So, what Rinpoche says, if I look through blue glass, I see everything as blue. If I look through red glass, I see everything as red. When I look with my mind, I see everything the color that my mind makes it. Okay? In other words, I distort everything according to my subjective perspective. I do not see things as they are. Okay? There's many more examples, so basically I'm just going to give you one example after another, and some of them you will like, others you will think, oh, what does he mean there? Okay. Okay, so the next one is that everything that appears to us and the way it appears is a manifestation of our karma. We'll be studying karma in more detail in a future module. But as you probably know, the karma is the previous actions that we did, which have brought us into this life and also given us the various circumstances of this life, such as our material well-being, our health, the type of family, the kind of conditions of our life, like the work that we get and the good fortune or bad fortune, the things that are good that happen to us, the things that are bad that happen to us. This is all from our karma. And this is basically all the appearances of our life. For example, right now, each of us is having an appearance of this room and the people in it. And you're having an appearance of my words. But each person is experiencing these in a different way. Part of it is dependent on where you're sitting in the circle. But it's more than that, isn't it? If you look around at the faces, you respond to different faces according to how it touches you. This is called your karmic appearance. It's the way the world appears to you, influenced by your karma. Okay? And there's an example here, which is like a field. You know, a field where we grow crops. The field has the potential for a good crop or a bad crop. And in the 12 links of dependent origination, which we're not going to look at in detail here, ignorance, which is our misunderstanding of reality, is like the farmer. The karma is the seed that is planted in the field, which comes from our ignorance because of the way that we relate to things, means that our actions are contaminated by our attitude. And the crop is the result of that karma, which is the consciousness that we have. Okay? So the consciousness that we have now in this life is the crop, or what is grown from our actions, which is our karma, which was in turn produced by ignorance. This is something which some of you may have studied already, some of you may be unfamiliar with this, but it's something you're going to learn a lot if you continue to study Dharma, because it's fundamental to Dharma that we misunderstand reality, This is the basic distortion. From that, we have these disturbing attitudes like pride, jealousy, hatred, and so forth. And from that, we create actions such as harming others or doing things for selfish motives, all those kind of things. And that produces the result, which is the karmic appearance, which includes suffering. So this is a kind of karmic process. And so it shows that because the root of our appearance is ignorance, what we experience is actually a distortion of what is actually present. Okay. The next example is also about karma, and the example is given in the scriptures, in the teachings, that if we see a glass of water, if in that same place, a being in the hungry ghost realm, which is a kind of spirit, will see a receptacle of pus and blood. Can somebody translate that? The same place, they see that. And in the same place, someone in the God realm, Deva realm, will see a beautiful receptacle of nectar. So one question is, what is actually there? What is the truth of what is there? You see, we are so arrogant. We think, oh, well, we see it as it actually is. I'll give you a much simpler example. Some of you have dogs, I'm sure, as pets, or cats. How does the cat or dog see? Does it see colors? I don't think so. They see black and white.
No, they see like colorblind people.
Do they? Okay. So, who is correct? We think that we're correct, and the animal is just ignorant. So the animal sees something wrong, and we see what is correct. Why? Why do we say that? Because we think that the way I see things is the truth. Because we take our own subjectivity to be the actual truth, absolute truth. That is an example of how we do not see things as they are. We see things through our own lens.
What's the answer to your question?
I'm not asking a question at the moment. I'm just giving...
What is the truth?
What is the... Oh, no, that's not the topic right now. Okay, the next point is about food. We had some snacks in the break. Did we all enjoy exactly the same? No. Any of you who have kids, you will know. They say, "Ugh, this is horrible," when you cook something, especially. And you have to say, you don't like it, but it doesn't mean it's horrible. Another person really likes it. For them it's delicious, for you it's not. Okay. But they think it's absolutely horrible. There's a great story about a yogi in the past called a Sangha who wanted to meet with Buddha Maitreya in order to receive teachings. So he went to retreat, and he actually was in retreat for 12 years, and at the end of 12 years he gave up. And he never saw Maitreya in his retreat. He wanted to see Maitreya and request teachings, so he gave up. This retreat was somewhere on the border between Myanmar and India, somewhere in that area, some forest area. So he left, and then as he was walking along the road, he saw this old dog lying in the road with a great big wound in its side. And the dog was very suffering, so bad. And in the wound, which is like it had an open wound, in the wound there were many maggots crawling. You want to translate maggots? Yeah. They were in the wound. And so he thought, these maggots are making the dog suffer. So he felt compassion for the dog. So he thought, I should remove the maggots. But then he thought, well, yeah, but if I take them away, then they will die. So then he felt compassion for the maggots. So he thought, what can I do? So what he did, he took a knife and he cut his own flesh. I thought, I will put the maggots there. I will take that. So then he thought, if I pick the maggots up with my thumb and finger, I might hurt them. So he thought, how shall I move them to here? So then he thought, if I lift them with my tongue, it will be more gentle for them. So he went towards the first maggot to pick it with its tongue, and the moment he touched it, the dog transformed into Maitreya. The Buddha Maitreya, who he spent 12 years trying to meet in the retreat, and he failed. But now, as his tongue touched the first maggot, the dog transformed into Maitreya. Okay. Maitreya is the next Buddha after Shakyamuni. This is Shakyamuni Buddha. Maitreya is the next Buddha. And he's also living now in Tushita, which is one pure land. And basically, a Sangha wanted to meet Maitreya to receive some teachings from him. And this is how he did meet Maitreya. And he did receive teachings, by the way. And those teachings we have in some great texts now. So this meeting was very positive. But the main point that I'm trying to teach is this. Immediately that the dog transformed into Maitreya, a Sangha became very angry. He said, I meditated for 12 years in the cave and you didn't come. And Maitreya said, I was there the whole time. You just couldn't see me. But now that you practiced compassion like that, then you purified all your obstacles, and now you can see me. So then a Sangha was very, very pleased and very happy. So he thought, I want to show my guru to all the people in the nearby town. So he lifted Maitreya onto his shoulders, and he went around the town screaming, look at my guru, look at my guru, look at my guru.
But nobody saw.
Nobody could see.
Only one woman saw.
Well, one person saw, one old lady who was a very spiritual person, she could see a dog. So the purpose of this story is to teach us that how we see the guru is dependent on our own karma. And actually, it's said we're very, very fortunate that we can meet our gurus as humans, because, initially a Sangha met his guru as a dog, and there are other stories similar to that. So that's another example. So another thing is that when we see somebody we know, after we didn't meet them for some time, we see that they got older. We can notice, if we meet them 10 years later. But if we see somebody every day, we never see them getting older. And this is another example of how our mind is not good at seeing change, the momentary change of everything, including ourselves. It's hard for us to recognize that actually we are getting older. It's even hard for us to believe that we're going to die. Unfortunately, it sounds stupid. If you say that, of course, yes, of course I'm going to die, but that's intellectual. But to really feel it's true, it's quite challenging for many people. Of course, if we meditate on that, then it's different. So I'm going to read something that Lama Zopa said. What appears to us depends on the state of our mind. What we see is our own mental projection, our own view. If our mind is pure, we will see things purely. But the more impure or obscured our mind is, the more impure what appears to us will be. When we are training our mind to look at the Guru as a Buddha, when we see a fault in our Guru, we have to think that it is the view of our impure mind. Even if faults appear to us, we don't believe that the Guru actually has these faults. Okay. That is quite difficult for us to achieve, that attitude. When we see a fault in the Guru, could be like, for instance, people say the Dalai Lama is a Buddha. So then why does the Dalai Lama go to hospital? So then they say, oh, he's not a Buddha, he's an ordinary human being. So that's seeing a fault. He's got an imperfect body, that kind of thing. I think that's maybe enough on this reason. The second reason is that even nowadays, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for sentient beings. So, of course, if you don't believe enlightenment is possible, then there's no point in practicing the path. If enlightenment is possible, however, then it's logical that in the past many beings did practice and did achieve enlightenment. If so, that means that they continuously work for sentient beings forever. Because when you're enlightened, it transcends birth and death. Of course, they can manifest as human, but their inner being is beyond human. Their mind is continuous as the clear, all-knowing mind, omniscient mind. This is something we will study more and more during this module, and it's a difficult thing to understand, but our own mind has the potential of limitless knowledge and understanding. At the moment we have limited knowledge and understanding because of our karma. But even we can see from our life that our knowledge and understanding grew. It probably, in some cases, it grew a lot through a mixture of study but also spiritual practice. You may be much better at understanding what is going on for other people than you used to be because of your spiritual practice. You may have a much more wide understanding of what is happening around you in your society or in the world or in your community than you used to have. This is because of your spiritual practice. Because you developed your mind, maybe through living ethically, maybe through doing meditation, maybe through understanding the way things are, being more realistic. All of these things are what we call Dharma. But they're just natural things. When you say Dharma, it sounds like a strange word. I'm not talking about something mystical here. I'm just talking about something practical. Now, why is there a limit to the mind? Of course there's a limit to the body. The body can jump a long way, long jumper, but still there's a limit. You can't go beyond that limit. But the mind does not have a limit. The mind has no limit. For instance, a typical person will have love and compassion for a small number of people, like their family and a few friends. But we can extend that love and compassion. We can make it wider. It's possible, if you live in a village, to develop love and compassion towards everybody in the village, or in the city. You could even develop love and compassion for everybody in Herzliya. It's possible. Of course, you will meet some people who are difficult, but it's possible to transcend that with the practice. And it's the same with wisdom. Wisdom is the knowledge of things, how they are, how they exist, what they are. So this is the limitless mind of the Buddha. And from that, it's said that the Buddhas manifest in human form. Why? It's the only way that they can communicate with us. If we were to meet a Buddha looking like this, imagine you came in this room today and there was a Buddha sitting in the room. How would you react? You know, with all the golden light and everything. I think you would run away or fall over, or I don't know, freak out. It's not really something we can relate to. But when the Buddhas manifest in human form, then we can communicate with them. We can listen to them and we can understand them and so forth. When the Dalai Lama scratches his head, I always think, oh yeah, it's kind of like, it's something familiar. It's something familiar. Many things like that. This is why the Gurus manifest in human form. So it's said that all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for us today in the form of our Gurus. If we look around the world, we can't see any other examples of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas except for our Gurus. So that's something to think about. Okay. Then the next point is that the Guru is the doer of all the Buddha's actions. So here Lama Zopa says, during our beginningless lifetimes until now, all the virtuous teachers we have met are one being, the Absolute Guru, who has manifested in various aspects with different names and different forms. This is a very deep topic. What is or who is the Absolute Guru? The Absolute Guru is beyond any form. We call this Absolute Guru Dharmakaya, and actually the Dharmakaya is simply the purified mind of the mind we have now. At the moment our mind, as I said earlier, is very obscured because of our karma and because of our delusion, because of our ignorance. But when we purify that, our mind becomes the Dharmakaya. That is our Absolute Guru. That is leading us to enlightenment. It's our own inner potential which leads us. That inner potential manifests in external form, appearing as another being, another person, or maybe several. As I said, I have several gurus. This is quite possible. But it's all the same manifestation of the Absolute Guru. Another way to express it is the Absolute Guru is our own future realization of reality, of, we say, emptiness, which we will realize in future if we practice the path. And that is manifesting for us now in the appearance of our teachers who are leading us, pointing us, helping us, guiding us towards that realization. Okay? I'm just going to quote Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who is one of my gurus, so I'm relying on his words. He says, the Dharmakaya, the holy mind of all the Buddhas, the transcendental wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness, is the Absolute Guru. This Dharmakaya is eternal, with no beginning or end, and it pervades all phenomena. Because this holy mind is bound by infinite compassion that embraces all the numberless sentient beings, whenever the karma of a sentient being ripens, without even a second's delay, it, that's the Dharmakaya, manifests in a form that accords with the karma of that being. If we really go into this, it's a source of great optimism and hope. It's a very, very positive teaching. It means that all around us, all the time, the Buddhas are just waiting to manifest for us. And when we are open, when we create the causes to experience that appearance, it will appear and teach us according to our karma, according to what we need, what is possible for us, what benefits us at that time. And I'm very confident that several of you here have personal experience of what I'm saying, that it happened for you in certain situations in your life, that something or somebody or some experience came just at the right moment to give you a teaching which took you to another stage of your own path. Okay? And that is what is meant here. That Dharmakaya is simply waiting for the openness from your side for such an appearance to come. And then it happens at a time when you're open to it. And so then you can move. And that is really how spiritual development happens. It's very important, this, because it means it's dependent on us. It's dependent on our karma, on our openness, on our availability to receive this. Okay? It's good. It puts the responsibility here, not somewhere up there. It's here. Okay? I'm probably taking a little bit too much time. Let me just check the schedule. Yes, okay. Just one more point then. These are some quotations from the Buddha himself, who spoke about this. I'm going to read you one which I really like. This is in one of the sutras where the Buddha explained about the future after he had died, after he passed away. He said, "Even though I have shown passing beyond sorrow in this great land of Zambu," which means in this world, "in the end, I have not gone beyond sorrow completely. Even though I have shown being conceived in the mother's womb in this land of Zambu, it is just for my mother and father to recognize me as their son. My holy body wasn't born from the gathering of attachment. My holy body does not have sufferings of hunger and thirst. But in order to fit with the beings of this world, I also show hunger and thirst. Other than that, I also show myself as an ordinary being to individual beings. I have had profound wisdom for countless eons. Even though I have passed completely beyond the world created by grasping, I show walking, sitting, and other actions. I show having headaches, stomach aches, backaches, and so forth. I wash my legs, hands, face, and mouth, and clean my teeth with a toothstick. Even though individual ordinary beings believe I have all these problems, my holy body has none of these problems." Okay? So, if we reflect on these points, then you can see that it's possible to develop your mind to see the Guru as Buddha, despite appearances which seem to contradict that. And as Shan said earlier, this isn't to benefit the Guru. The Guru does not need our devotion. The Guru is already transcendent. But for our mind, this is said to be the basis of the path. That depending on this attitude, we can make real progress in the path. Now, as I've said all along, this isn't a relationship that Shan said, you don't jump into. So it takes time. At the beginning, you simply study the scriptures, the texts, you reflect, you meditate, you learn in your own way. But at a certain point, when you do meet the Guru, and you develop this kind of attitude, this kind of understanding, these 9 attitudes of the previous meditation, then amazing progress is possible. Because then something can benefit you at a very deep level. Okay? It doesn't come easily, but when it does come, it's a very wonderful thing. Okay.